Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to go over the latest news and notes surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs and talk about their last couple of games. Yesterday, the Toronto Maple Leafs took on the Columbus Blue Jackets and won by a score of 5-4. And while allowing 4 goals is not necessarily the greatest thing, I didn't actually think it was that bad of a performance by Toronto's defense or by Peter Mrazek, who was in net. This is what the defensive zone looked like just before the Columbus Blue Jackets scored their first goal. Not necessarily dangerous, but if we flip to the very next frame, you can see that the puck hits either the Columbus player here or Morgan Rielly and changes direction on Peter Mrazek, and it sneaks through him. And that seems like it's been happening a lot lately, where there's been a lot of goals that have gone in either by a tip or a deflection in front of the net. But the difference between this goal and the previous ones was that there was no Columbus player standing in front of Peter Mrazek, right? They're skilled NHL players. If you leave a guy standing in front of the net and the shot comes in from the point, more than likely they're going to make a skilled play and tip it out of the air. If you want to be really picky about this first goal, Max Domi, who starts with the puck up at the point here, the only reason why he was able to get into the position where he was when he took the shot in and around the top of the circle area was because Nick Robertson, in meeting him up at the point, was a little bit too aggressive and Domi was able to get around him. The second goal, which happened at 4-on-4, was the same sort of idea here where Mitch Marner was a little bit too aggressive in getting to his man, and that's Gustav Nyquist with the puck here. The Goose is loose. He's an awesome skater, and he's going to curl around the offensive zone, and the play is going to get to a point where, because Marner lost his man, Liljegren decides to also lose his to compensate, but that's going to open up a passing lane, and Bjorkstrand, who scores the goal, is just going to have a tap-in on Peter Mrazek. If we're looking at another angle of this goal here, if Liljegren just stays with his man, he could have taken away the passing lane, and at that point, Nyquist's only options would have been to have shot this puck either glove side or 5-hole, or passed it to the Columbus player who's standing just off screen here. And if Liljegren is back in this passing lane, Mrazek has a clear line of sight to the puck, and probably stops that. If Nyquist beats him glove side or 5-hole, shame on Peter Mrazek. But that's a much less dangerous scoring opportunity than the one that Liljegren created by not covering his man because Marner lost his. It's a 4-on-4 play. Maybe you don't practice that one every once in a while. Whatever. The 3-3 goal to tie the game and for the Maple Leafs to have blown the 3-goal lead came on the power play. And their penalty kill has been genuinely good this year, so I'm not going to bother dissecting that one. But the 5-4 goal came off of an expiring power play where the Maple Leafs penalty killers were on the ice for a long time and had a couple of opportunities to clear the puck, but couldn't. It's a 6-on-5 opportunity here, and that's Patrick Laine taking the shot, and maybe you would have liked Mrazek to have had that one, but it's Patrick Laine. Maybe that sounds like I'm making an excuse for them, and I'm not trying to. They definitely don't deserve it, but at the same time, the Maple Leafs only allowed 1 goal at 5-on-5 in this game, and Peter Mrazek stopped 26 out of 27. It's a different way of looking at it because they still gave up 4 goals, but there are positives to draw from this. And Sheldon Keefe said post-game that he thought that Mrazek played better than what the stat line would show, and that's what he's talking about. The game against the Vancouver Canucks, this one I thought that there were a lot more defensive lapses in it. I mean, even though Jack Campbell was in net for 5 out of the 6 goals, and 4 of them came at 5-on-5, there was a lot of shots that came from the point where guys were able to set up shop in front, and like we said earlier, they're NHL players. If you give them enough time and space, they're going to be able to tip that puck out of the air and make a skilled play. Overall, it was a very poor defensive effort in this one, but again, just like the game against Columbus where Mrazek was in net, I felt like Jack Campbell played better than what the stat line eventually showed. Sure, there were some goals that you would have liked him to have had, but he made some pretty big saves in this game as well, and that's encouraging. You can build off of those at least. Again, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for them, but I promise you I'm not. I'm just trying to separate the defensive play from the way that the goalies have been playing. Even if you want to go back to that game against the Washington Capitals, the Maple Leafs did allow 3 goals in this one, but at 5-on-5, they only allowed 1 goal on 21 shots, and that's not that bad. That's 2 out of 3 games where you're only allowing 1 goal at 5-on-5. The special teams will have their ups and downs. The 4-on-4 goal, whatever, you don't practice that one too much. There are positive things to build off the last couple of games. But just to put a cap on this conversation and move off of it from now, I showed this quote the other day in a video that I did talking about whether or not the Maple Leafs should be all in at this year's trade deadline. And the way that Kyle Dubas is speaking here, it looks like the Maple Leafs are going to add to their blue line. It's just a matter of when and not if. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier, is that I'm more of a fan of adding to the blue line and seeing what impact that has on the goaltending. Better defense should lead to better goaltending, and the goaltending has been good. That's why it's so frustrating to see them play so poorly. And if you're looking at what type of defenseman the Maple Leafs are going to look to acquire at this year's deadline, I mean, we've done several videos, and I'll leave the playlist linked above the screen and at the end of this one if you want to check out any of the names that we've already discussed at length. But it just seems like no matter what combination Sheldon Keefe seems to put together, they all have their struggles. But again, it's a nuanced conversation. If the goaltending was better, the defense wouldn't look as bad. If the defense was better, the goaltending wouldn't look as bad. They both need to be better. It's just that if I had to pick one that could fix itself, it would be the goaltending. Over the last little while, Sheldon Keefe has broken up Morgan Rielly and TJ Brodie, but I don't think that that's a long-term solution to anything. I don't think that Sheldon Keefe wants to break up his most consistent deep pairing over the last 2 seasons. I think he's done it because he's had to. Because ever since Jake Muzzin has gone down with that second concussion, what would the second pairing be? I don't think that Rasmus Sandin is quite ready for that. However, I do think that he is ready for more responsibility than what he's been given to this point in the season. And a guy like Lyubushkin, the reason why he's looked as good as he has is because he's been playing less minutes and against lesser type competition, and that hasn't exposed his poor puck handling skills and the fact that he pinches a lot in the offensive zone for a guy who's supposed to be a stable defensive defenseman. I think that Sandin and Lyubushkin could be a very, very good third pair for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I mean, you want the Maple Leafs to be a little bit tougher in front of their own net. And you watch Lyubushkin on a shift tonight just absolutely clear one guy away from the net and then automatically rush over to the other guy and say get lost as well. He's been fantastic in the minutes that he's played so far. Now, it'd be crazy not to mention this. Austin Matthews scored his 40th goal of the season, which, by the way, he's leading the NHL in goals and points since November the 1st. I mean, the guy missed the first couple of games of the year and then started the season kind of slow. Sorry, he had wrist surgery. But if he scores 20 goals in the Maple Leafs' remaining 26 games now, which is not very much different than the current pace that he's already on, he'll be just the third 60-goal scorer since 1999-2000. Joining Steven Stamkos, who last did it in 2011-2012, and Alex Ovechkin, who did it in 2007-2008. Their offensive effort tonight against the Columbus Blue Jackets was fantastic. The first goal was an awesome play by Pierre Engvall to knock down a puck in transition and keep the play alive, and Mikheyev ends up with a beautiful opportunity right in front of the net, and he buries it. The second goal was a relentless shift by that top line in Bunting, Matthews, and Marner, where Marner gets an opportunity in front of the net after several tries of losing the puck and getting it back, and he buries it. The third goal was a far side wraparound goal from Austin Matthews. That's absolutely insane. And then the fifth goal, skipping over the Kerfoot one, which was a really nice play by that fourth line. But on this goal, it's Austin Matthews doing the work in front off of a face-off, and Michael Bunting shoves it in. And I mean, honestly, whatever. I tweeted this out right as the game ended. We didn't learn anything new from this game. It's encouraging that they keep doing the little things that they do offensively really, really well. I guess if you want to put stock in the fact that they only allowed one goal at 5-on-5 and Peter Mrazek stopped 26 out of 27, that would be the optimistic way to look at it. I want to end off talking a little bit about Nick Robertson here, and I thought that this picture of him and his brother Jason standing next to each other in the OHL was just absolutely hilarious because they look like each other, but Jason's about a foot taller. This is in an extremely small sample size here, but if we're taking a look at the advanced numbers with Robertson playing on that second line next to John Tavares and William Nylander compared to what the numbers are with Alex Kerfoot in a similar percentage of offensive zone starts, yeah, I'm really, really liking Nick Robertson on that second line. It's been really interesting to watch Sheldon Keefe deploy these four players because it seems like they want to give Nick Robertson some more offensive opportunities, and that's awesome. let him get comfortable there. And if you're more confident in Alex Kerfoot in terms of his defensive play, that's fine. We saw Sheldon Keefe later on in this game, like in the last 3 or 4 minutes, just put Alex Kerfoot in the top six. And that's the Maple Leafs trying to lock down the game. I respect that. But at the same time, once Nick Robertson gets comfortable there, I want to see more. There was a play where the Maple Leafs were in the offensive zone and Robertson was standing in the blue paint next to a Columbus player and he just dumped him into the net for no reason whatsoever. He's got a little bit of a mean streak inside of him. He's not that big of a guy, obviously, but I think he plays a lot larger than what he is, and that's nice to see. I mean, if we just want to read a quick little scouting report on EliteProspects.com here, he's extremely hard on the forecheck, relentless in puck pursuit, and a big-time trash talker. This guy's really easy to be a fan of. We already saw Nylander and Robertson hook up for one goal that came off of a 2-on-1. That's how Robertson scored his first goal this year. And there was another 2-on-1 opportunity involving those two in the game against the Blue Jackets where Nick's pass was just too much towards the heel of Nylander's stick and it went just wide of the net. But a guy like John Tavares, he was never really known for his speed, can't really keep up with a guy like Nylander. They need another guy on the opposite side who can, and that has a big-time shot. And Robertson, a couple of years ago in the blue and white game, took the nicest slap shot that I've ever seen in my life. If you don't remember this, you need to go look up that highlight after you're done watching this video. It was on full body extension weight into the shot, bar down, right in the slot. It was absolutely amazing. And this is a guy who scored 55 goals in 46 games in the OHL a couple of seasons ago. There was a play in the game against the Blue Jackets where he sort of just slipped away from traffic towards the side of the net and he was fed a pass where he had a really nice opportunity to score off of a one-timer, but Morris Lincoln's made the save. I think that Robertson can work really well on that second line. I want to see more. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. Make sure to like it if you did like it and subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Nicholas and Christian. You guys recognized me when I was timekeeping for the NYHL on Sunday. You were playing in the U21 game, and Nick, I don't know why you admitted to being the defenseman that fell down that led to the breakaway where your own goalie turned around and shoved the net off of its moorings. The thing that you need to understand about these U21 games is that they're insane. There's 80 penalty minutes every single week in a 32-minute hockey game. But I've been there all season long. I've watched you guys play all year. And honestly, you guys have gotten better as the year's gone on. So hopefully I get to see you guys in a couple more games. And thank you for making my night the other day. Take care, everyone.